let's stick with Lance. So he's not starting, and we have no idea how much he'll play or if he'll play at all. But he could, and it sounds like he probably will. What do you think the benefit is, especially this week, of this entire little mystery of, the whole, is he coming in, and when and how much? Waruna.
Okay, I would say the impact would be minimal. The reason is the opponent we are playing against, the Lions. They are already. I mean, no disrespect towards that
No,
team.
total disrespect, but that's okay. I like that.
Okay, but I just saw their injury report. Left tackle has already gone down. He has some finger injury, and defensive line, they have injuries over there. So it's like you are trying to play your professional level game against a college team or high school team at this point. So even though Lance might give you the advantage, I rather like to see we do not, reveal all the tricks in the bag. Just holding back Lance would be the best opportunity, because it's not going to give us any advantage because we already have the strength with the run game. Jimmy himself can beat Lions, so I don't think it will make any difference.
Yeah, the benefit as far as Sunday goes, and this is going to be the same case week in and week out, is just the opposing team having to game plan for Trey Lance potentially coming on the field, potentially having different packages. So that's the benefit. Long term, going beyond the season, what I think the benefit of having Trey Lance lurk in the shadows is you can always go to him. And if you were to reveal Trey Lance right now and take him out of the shadows, I don't see how you would be able to go back, if you were to struggle, to go back to Garoppolo. So I do think the 49ers are doing the right thing by starting Garoppolo right now, even despite the injury to Trey Lance, because you can always insert Trey Lance into the lineup. And, whereas if you started Garoppolo, if you started Lance to begin with, you can't go back to Garoppolo if Lance struggles. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see how they use Trey Lance this Sunday, if at all. And the benefits, just it's more for the Lions to game plan for, and we'll see what happens.
So week 1, the benefit is 0. Grant, I know you're going to like this one because I've been watching your stuff, and I know you still say Trey Lance is going to play a lot in game 1. I don't think Trey Lance is going to play more than 5 snaps in game 1. I'm going to tell you why. So he's injured, first of all. Kyle needs to protect that injury. He needs to protect Trey Lance. The future of this season, I think Trey Lance is going to finish the season as the starting quarterback. I do think he's going to replace Jimmy Garoppolo at some point this season, full time as a starter. Then we're going to get away from this whole 2 quarterback, nonsense that we're going to start off with. But I think a lot of 49er fans also agree with me. I put a poll on my Twitter earlier this week, and I asked what fans thought the breakdown was going to be. And over 75% of the fans voted that it was going to be a 90% to 10% split for a quarterback time, with Jimmy Garoppolo seeing 90% of the snaps. I think game 1, we're definitely going to see that. Trey Lance just coming off the injury. They're going to be cautious. Like we've all mentioned, this is going to be a blowout in week 1. I don't see Detroit really bringing much to the table in this matchup. So we're really going to save the Lance package, I think, for further on in the season when we actually need it. And I don't think we're going to see a lot of Trey Lance in this game, unfortunately, because I was excited to see him as well.
Yeah, well, you're wrong. Okay, Suneil, what's up?
So the benefit of Lance looming in the shadows, to me, I kind of disagree with everybody in the sense that I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback, not just for now, but for the whole year. I don't see any benefit to sitting Jimmy and playing Lance at this point. Like, I think it's just sit Lance for the year, get him and develop him like Patrick Mahomes was developed, all these quarterbacks that just sit and then start after, they've earned the position or the person in front of them gets traded away or cut or whatever the situation is. I was a big start Trey Lance because I don't think there's that much difference between Trey and Jimmy. But obviously, Kyle made a decision, and I think you just stick with that decision as far as as far as just playing Jimmy. And I think Lance should just sit a year and develop, and then be the starter next year after he's learned for a whole season. I think playing like the person, I think all of this like play two quarterbacks. You were talking about like Taysom Hill, right? But what's Taysom Hill? Taysom Hill isn't the starting quarterback and never earned the starting quarterback with New Orleans. They brought in Jameis Winston, who, for all intents and purposes, isn't necessarily like a world beater, and he beat out, Taysom Hill as far as a starting quarterback. So I would rather treat Trey Lance as a pure quarterback and just sit him instead of bringing him in for all of these plug and play plays and, take away from him being just a pure quarterback that we're going to need in the future.
The comments are killing you, Suneil.
That's fine. I'm out here with my opinions. You guys can make it on the show if your opinions were good enough too.
Okay, I think there's a huge benefit of Trey Lance looming in the shadows, and I think there's a benefit every single week, no matter who they're playing, because whether or not he plays, whether it's 3 snaps or 30 or whatever, the Lions don't know. They have no idea, and they can't know. They can have a feeling, but they don't know. So what do they have to do? They have to have 2 game plans, 2, and they're totally different. They have to practice. Like, you can't have double the practice time. So you have to split it up, and you have to spend some time on the Lance game plan, some time on the Garoppolo game plan. That means less time practicing your bracket coverages of Kittle, because you can't do that when Lance is on the field. You have to worry about spying and stuff like that. And you have to spend time practicing defending the zone read. And you have to figure out, what would you do? What coverages would you call in certain situations if Trey Lance is the quarterback? Because you don't freaking know. And that only helps Jimmy Garoppolo. Because let's be frank, he's pretty limited. And if he's all you have to prepare for the entire week, there's enough tape out there. There's got enough time that you can pretty much hone in on his tendencies and take away what he wants to do. Now it's much more difficult. So I think that just having Lance, the possibility of Lance, him standing on the sideline, even if he doesn't play, only helps everyone. I think it's a big deal. I think it's a big benefit. And I think it's not necessarily how I would play it with the 2 quarterback thing, but Kyle Shanahan is working this mystery element to perfection. And it's probably screwing over the Lions. I mean, they're screwed anyway, but imagine the stuff the decisions they had to make this week. Like, well, how much time are we going to spend on the zone read? Well, we got to spend at least an hour. We got to spend at least 1 day on it. What if they don't call it one time? Doesn't matter. Had to do it. So I think that's a good thing. Real quick, we'll answer some questions, and then we'll get back to our show because we're pressed for time. Marcus says, who has more passing yards this year? Jimmy with his Jimmy Gimmies or Trey with the deep ball? Jimmy. I don't know how much Trey's going to be throwing this year, guys. Right?
Yep.
Chris says,
well,
I think
he might throw it, but they won't catch it.
Chris says, I think the Niners run game will carry them to a win by 21 plus. My projection is 35-10. Yeah, I mean, they should. That's reasonable. Matthew says, does Jimmy end up A, benched quick for poor play, or B, traded before the bye, or C, traded after the bye, or D, plays whole season as a Niner? Suneil says whole season. Real quick. Answer A, B, C, or D.
D.
D. We're not trading him.
D.
D.
B.
A. Okay, let's move on.
Hey, we're not gonna play Nate Sudfeld. We're not gonna play Nate Sudfeld. We're not getting rid of Jimmy, guys.